Okay, what else? Like if I ask you, how many of us have attachments? If I ask you, can I say that every one of us have some kind of an attachment? We all have, and as much as we start our day thinking about having things in a certain way, but we end up, maybe during the day, we end up getting wound up with some kind of an attachment. And the impact of that, a couple of days ago, when I mean, since the time I have taken up this practice uh, of, of, of consciously seeing my own attachments when I was preparing for this session, so let me look at my attachments. And I was driving down uh, to my workplace, and there was someone who was honking. And I am someone who cannot take noise. If someone honks, it puts me off, it triggers me. So immediately as that person started honking, I had some kind of a disturbance in my mind. And the next thing that I did is I moved myself on the side and let that person go. And then I honked. And when I did that, it of course irritated that person. And after that, I stopped honking. When I was reviewing and looking at it, and I saw that, what did I get? What I got was only my ego to be satisfied. And really, was it satisfied? No. I could reflect and see how much am I consumed by my own ego. And so subtly it comes. And 5 minutes before I was driving, I was actually listening to something by one of the Brahma Kumaris sisters uh, on the phone. And here I see that how subtly it comes in and hijacks the state of mind. And that led me to actually look at it deeply and say that how many things are actually allowing me to get hijacked. So I am not the one who has attachment. Actually, the attachment is having me. So if I ask you that what are the different kind of attachments that one would have, what would they be? Apurva, can we have the slide, please?
Can you make me co-host, Punita?
Oh. You're already a co-host, Apurva. Okay, so while she's putting on, let us look at broadly what are the different ways that we would have attachments. One is having attachments in relations, be it our family, be it friends, be it relatives, be it people at work, even unknown people. So in relationships, we have various kind of attachments as we move through our day-to-day lives. Attachments with children, attachment with the spouse. The next, we would have attachments showing up in materialistic possessions, property, car, electronic gadgets, that is laptop, mobile, and things that we possess, shoes, clothes. And the third type of attachment that we would have is the three P's: the post, position, and power. You wanting to be at a certain state in the society, to be known, to be recognized, maybe by being a star or a celebrity, or maybe by being a politician, or maybe by taking on some practices which are not acceptable. And what happens when we are there in these attachments is that we lose ourselves. How does that happen? Because everything that we are is ruled by something that is outside of us. That is, either we are ruled by our emotions. Our brother said that there are certain things that may leave an impression. Expectations in relations. How one should behave, how one should not behave. What happens when there is an attachment? We think it should be in a certain way or it should not be in a certain way. This person should have spoken like this or he should have not done like that. Second, we say it could have been done in this way or it could have been like that. So the second is could be. And the third is a want, a desire to possess something, to have something for yourself, and a want to be. That is again the post position power, that you would want to be in a certain place. You want to be recognized, you want to be known, you want to be respected, you want to be appreciated. Everything that is outside of you and which comes up in a form of a want or a want to be is when you have an attachment. And what happens when that is not fulfilled? When things don't go your way, it leads to upset, sadness, grief, reaction, resignation, retaliation. It deprives you of the energy, of the power that you are. Now, why do human beings get upset? One, because expectations are not fulfilled. Second, because things don't go the way I desire. I wanted it to go in a certain way and it did not happen. Third is when people don't listen. And the fourth, remembering past incidences or things that have happened. This actually deprives us of who we actually are, who we naturally are. Take a moment, take a pause, and reflect. Reflect and look within at your own attachments. Where is it that you experience a loss of power, a sadness, or an upset because of some kind of an attachment that you have? Take a few seconds. Usually the upset shows up when things don't go your way with the person, with the process, or with the outcome. And then we say, Shanti nahi hai. I don't have peace of mind. If someone tells you to sit and meditate, you would say, I can't concentrate. I can't stabilize. My mind keeps on running here and there. So what happens? That we get on to getting numb, getting insensitive. Now, if you look at the word detached, what comes in your mind when we say detached? Detached means to cut yourself from something. Let me be detached. When people come into any kind of a spiritual practice, one of the things that they learn is detachment. And the world outside, the rest of the people around them will think, this person has become detached. I am not going to come where you are going. Why? Because they are teaching you to be detached. And what does detachment mean for them? It means that you have become indifferent, you become insensitive, you don't care anymore. And that's the way it is perceived. If you look into your day to day lives, you may have come across certain incidents where there is someone who is upset in the family. And you are the way you are. And they will think, I am upset. Can't you see that? How come you are not upset? Because I am upset. The next thing that they would want is you to have the same emotion, to have the same experience. And the way the human mind is wired, they would look at till the time you are not going to be upset, they are not going to be settled. Once you also get your energies down, is when they will feel, now it's okay. But does that really serve? What is required when someone is upset or someone is low? Here we are looking at an image where there's a doctor and there's a patient. The patient is undergoing some challenge. Now imagine the doctor's frequency or energy levels are same or on the lines of what the patient is having. Do you think that the doctor will be able to serve that patient? Certainly not. Go back and look at some or think about some incident that must have happened sometime in the family or in your known circle. Maybe someone got a medical emergency. And what is the first thing that was done? Everything was kept aside, and the patient, that member, that family member, was rushed to the hospital. The way you would operate is to make sure that that patient gets the treatment and is saved or is taken care of. That time, you're in complete action. But what happens when the patient is rolled into the operation theater? What happens with the family members? There is a worry, there is stress, there is tension, there is a concern. What will happen? So when they are worrying, they are stressed, what kind of vibrations are they sending out to that patient? In fact, that is the time that patient would be requiring all the more of the 100% of you. But like how detachment is misunderstood. Why? Because D is taken in a negative way. The few things that I was noting down, that how the world of D looks like. Detachment, not really taken very positively by people. Why? Because it is not understood. It is misunderstood. And yes, D does come when especially our mind is gravitationally wired to think the negative. It will lead us to thinking about it in a negative way. It'll look like in the world of D. The world of D looks like decompose, decay, derail, all the D's that are there. So, what is it that we can do to move on and language ourselves? Language not here, but here, in a way that it is communicated clearly. One of the ways what I looked at or what I learned was moving from detachment to freedom from attachment. And what does freedom from attachment look like? What's the difference between between detachment and having a freedom from attachment? What's the difference? Let me put it in this way. To understand and to have that world around you who would understand, detachment usually comes up when people take it in a negative way. They feel that you've given up your responsibility, you've become insensitive, you don't care, you become indifferent. Freedom from attachment comes when you're not associating yourself. You understand the pain that the other person is going through, but you don't associate yourself with that pain. Your commitment remains in its place. Your responsibility remains in its place. It does not displace you. And that freedom from attachment comes from two things. One is acceptance, and the second is unconditional love. How beautiful it sounds when we say unconditional love. And the image that we have here for acceptance, we've got a small child. If you look how free, carefree the child is, that is who we are actually as human beings. We are carefree people. We are carefree souls, not careless, but carefree. How do small children really attract us? What really attracts us about them? It's their innocence, the acceptance that a child would have. And the second is unconditional love. If you see, when it comes to unconditional love, usually we would talk about animals. And that's what it shows here, that animals have unconditional love. There is no past baggages that they would have. Things happen, not that they don't get upset, but they forgive and forget in a moment. The next moment, they will be loving you again. Attachment is usually when you want things for yourself. It's a greed, it's a need that would pull you into having things your way. Freedom from attachment will come when you will think about the other person before yourself and find your happiness in there. Look at relationships. Things don't happen your way. This person did not give me the importance. I was not recognized, or I was not given that respect when we met up. Especially happens in teenagers and friends, that they want certain kind of weightage or importance, even in offices. When you go to some place and you have a mindset where you would say, okay, I will be going over here and I'll be recognized. And when it doesn't happen, it leads to an upset. How much it drains your energy. People keep on running after materialistic things. Think about that you're traveling by taxi, and when you get off, you're on the phone, you're talking to someone, you get off, and then you forget your laptop in the cab. What is it that happens the next moment or moments after that? Guilt, repentance, anger, frustration, all of that. A frantic search, surely you will search, but a frantic search, a stressful search, you will try to contact whosoever, you will go down. Maybe if you hired an Ola or an Uber, you try to contact the driver. But if you don't find, look at how your day goes. Not day, days. And look at the way you would be with the rest of the people after that incident has happened. Why? Because no acceptance of what's happened. It doesn't mean that what happened was right. What it means is what happened has happened. Stress is anyways not an answer. Anger is anyways not an answer. Repentance is anyways not an answer. Guilt is anyways not an answer. When you come home from work or from outside, and there you see your family member in a disturbed frame of mind, distressed, or that person talks to you in a certain way, you're occupied with your own concerns, maybe at workplace or with something else, maybe some health concern. But the moment that person comes and tells you something, there will be a resistance or there will be a reaction, and you'll give back. Now, that family member has got nothing to do with what's been happening when you've not been at home. Attachments, actually, if you see, when I asked all brothers and sisters to share, except one, what came out was all kind of negativity. Now, why does attachment strike us? Why does it impact us? It impacts us because our soul battery is not charged. It is depleted. Now, with a depleted discharge battery, how much one can perform? So, the way the human is wired, if you see most of the human beings, they are wired in a way to operate from survival. If I ask you all how much of each one of us breathe, then you will say, oh, yes, of course, we all of us breathe. We all are breathing. But I would say, no, you're not breathing. You're not consciously breathing. Your body is pulling in as much oxygen that it requires. And at one point of time, when you get stressed, what is it that you do? You take a deep breath. You say, let me think. Let me just relax. Why? Because we are surviving. Are we cherishing life? No. We are surviving. We're actually making ourselves available for all the pain, for all the agony, for anyone to come and impact us and inflict us. We're making ourselves available. That sounds great when we say, let's become free from attachment. But how? The way to get to that stage, to practice that level, is when you come into the world of meditation. And meditation doesn't necessarily mean that you need to sit in a certain pose with your eyes closed. No, it comes with soul consciousness, the awareness of your soul. When you get connected to that one supreme power, when you surrender, you make yourself available to be worked upon, is when that void, which is actually filled up earlier with all those emotions, that is when that battery will start getting charged. And when that battery gets charged, it starts sending out those quality of vibrations that it allow you to face any situation in a composed manner. How much does it take for you to peacefully listen through the challenge that someone is going through? Like I said, from my own learning, from my own experience, it's not that I have arrived or I've made it. No, even I'm in the journey. But what I'm learning and what I'm practicing is the more I'm settled with my own self, the more I'm standing in acceptance, the more I'm standing in unconditional love, the more it is allowing me to create a world that would be more peaceful. When I used to work earlier, when I did not have the spiritual sustenance, when I was not making myself yet available, I used to have people with a lot of negative vibes around me. And I would think, what is common amongst all the people who are negative around me? And when I started reflecting and looking within myself, what I could see that the only common thing amongst all of them was me. Then why am I attracting those people? I'm attracting those people because my battery is not charged. It's depleted. It's depleted because my self-esteem is low. That is why I want that kind of an acceptance. The three P's that we talk about, the post, position, and power, that they should behave in a certain way. This is not the way they should behave with me, and so on. But the moment I started working on my own self, and let me tell you, if you think that it's easy, I don't know whether it is easy or not. All that I would say, that it's not easy to even suffer. So given that it may not be easy, it's worth working on yourself and working and elevating your own thought process, the aura of your own soul. So when I started working on my own self, nothing to do with people outside of me. The spiritual sustenance of the learning of that whatever is happening with me is somewhere. It's my karmic account that I need to settle with those souls. Now, that also, I don't know whether it is right or not. I don't go into that logic. All that I see is accepting that this is what's happened. And once I do that, it stops me from building any more account with that soul. And as a result, over a period of time, all those people with that kind of negative vibrations started withering away. Or those who would come, by the time they would come, there is a shift in their behavior, in their approach. And then it's an ongoing journey. I cannot assume that it's settled, ever. It's like me being a soldier on the border. I cannot ever leave it unguarded. The same way, it's my responsibility to keep my soul battery charged at all times. And looking at how can I shift from attachments, maybe to detachment, but even if it is detachment, then it doesn't mean that I'm giving up or shrugging off my responsibility. I'm standing in acceptance, I'm standing in unconditional love, and I'm taking on doing what's required. That's why freedom from attachment. You are yet there, the commitment is yet there, the responsibility is yet there, but you're not getting involved or sucked into those emotions as you're serving that person. It might take a while for the other souls of people around you to accept this side of you. They may trigger you, that it doesn't make a difference to you. Look at how indifferent you've become. At least you could have done this. Let them say. Why? Because their batteries are discharged. And you can only stand to charge their batteries when your battery is charged. So, soul connection, spiritual elevation, acceptance, unconditional love, patience, and perseverance. These would be some of the workable ways that will allow you to shift from attachment to having a freedom from attachment. So let's take a few moments to hear from the brothers and sisters. What are they getting out of whatever we've been having in this space so far? Anyone would like to share something? You can unmute yourself. and you can share. Who can connect it with your own life and see that there is a different way that you can operate now?
Shanti, brother. Shanti,
Yes, brother.
everyone. As I could understand that there are attachments to certain words, certain statements, certain memories that have occurred. What I could make a synopsis of the whole talk is that at that moment I should separate myself from that sound, from the noise, or the words of the person. Usually, people attack us by taking us into the old memories, by probably using emotional words and sentences and telling us about the favors that they have done. They try to pull us into their aura, their circle. So the solution would be to detach from there for a while, connect to Baba, and then discern at yes, what is the talk all about? What is the demand that is being asked for? And then take a decision over there. And politely, better be politely say that I'm submitting this, that this is such and such thing is possible, such and thing is not possible. And yes, that is all because I have to charge myself again for the good of myself and for general well-being. So that is what I take from here.
Yes, brother. If you see how gravitationally we get pulled into any such kind of a situation, isn't it? Someone says something and we get triggered. And it's all an outcome because our soul battery is not charged. And there is pollution out there. The situation out there is the world believes that this is the way to operate. This is the way to speak. This is the way I have to behave to have things my way. There is no other way that they know. And what happens is we may have all the knowledge, but at that point of time, all the knowledge is left on the side. And we tend to get we succumb or we get pulled into that situation. And like you rightly said, just wean off, just cut off yourself from that moment. That is why when there are certain challenging situations or incidents that show up, people say, give me a break. Why do people say that? That give me a break. I want a break. Why? Because that is when you would want to rewire yourself and come back. That is what the system asks you. But we end up maybe not doing anything about it. Why? Because our soul battery is not charged. Yes. So the moment whether you know or you don't know how to approach it, the only thing that you need to do at that time is pause. Just take a pause. Any situation which takes away your power, just take a pause. Take a step back, reflect, and come back and see how differently, productively, constructively, forwardingly can you be an instrument to support that situation or that person. Thank you, brother. Yes. Who else?
Om Shanti. Vimish, can we know what is your deepest attachment and how you are working on that attachment?
Well, attachments do show up ongoingly. Like I said, gravitationally, they just keep on showing up. Right now, in the morning, when I was setting up the Zoom with Rakhi Ben, it was again all coming about, oh, it should be in this way. It should not be in this way. Arey light ठीक नहीं है. Arey ये camera ठीक नहीं है. I was seeing, okay, what I need to do, I need to do. But it is not something that could have me be disturbed. That attachment would come from that, oh, it has to be perfect. I should look good. I should sound good. What if I'm not able to X, Y, Z? Those all are attachments. And there would be attachments that I would be having with my parents. The certain ways that they behave. But I don't know what it feels like to be at 84 and 79. Why? Because I've never been there. So what they are undergoing, okay, if I try to find logic over there, of course, that's attachment. That I'm trying to find logic in what they're doing, forgetting that they have been working all their lives. Now they're retired, now they're aged, now they have got challenges. I don't know what kind of chemical compositions might have changed in the way they think or in their system. But if I relate to them from the way they were earlier, or they should, times have changed, they should behave according to the way the time is. All of that is attachment. Why? Because the acceptance goes out. Does it mean that this knowledge is there so that I am fine with it? I'm absolutely 100% with it? No. Yet situations do show up where there is some kind of a subtle upset that will come. But then the spiritual sustenance, this learning comes to help, where it comes to accepting them, where it comes from that unconditional love and says, they were never meant to do things my way. They were like this maybe even before I was born. So that acceptance and that unconditional love, when practiced, allows me to be free from that attachment until another situation that shows up when I get attached again. So that's what I said, Amiben. It's an ongoing journey. Yes, let's have a couple of more people to share. Yes, Harpreet Ben, Bhavna Ben.
Good morning, sir. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I simply agree with your answer, which you gave right now, that even my parents are retired. I have
Yeah.
three people with me in my family, my parents and my grandmother, and all are retired. And some situations occur when I question a lot within me that why they are doing so, why they are doing so. But God teaches me to treat them as my children. They have brought up me like a child. So now it is my responsibility to consider them as my children. And yes, acceptance is the most important thing, because even when they were young, then I used to compare why they were so perfect, then why they are behaving like this now. So spiritual maturity is the concept which comes here, and we have to be detached. Truly, we have to become detached. Then only we can accept them and enjoy the life spiritually. Om Shanti.
Yes. And more than you enjoying your life, Bhavna Ben,
Yes,
you're
sir.
making sure, yeah, I said more than you enjoying your life, you ensure that they enjoy their lives.
Yes. Very true.
Okay. Like there is a collapse in the world of attachment and love. People say, yeah, I love you very much. Why? Because see, I have a lot of attachment for you. But that attachment is a possession. That means we want things our way. But when you allow them to have things their way, doesn't have to make logical sense. But allowing them, and especially at that age, they require acceptance. Why? Because they've independently lived their lives. And now, maybe they're comparatively dependent. And it's not a nice feeling to be dependent on someone. We don't know. So that acceptance and being with them, like if things are not happening your way, and not only with parents, with anyone. What difference does it make? It's okay. If things don't happen your way, maybe out of that attachment of having it your way, you will have it your way. But the struggle, the stress, is it worth it? And at the end of the day, because it's not organic, because it's not pure, it's coming from ego, it will not give satisfaction. Even if you achieve something, it will happen at the cost of that relation. It will happen at the cost of your well being. So, yes, what you rightly said, that when you have the supreme power and you're connected to the supreme power, it gives you that energy to standing in acceptance and say, it's all right, doesn't matter. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
So,
Om Shanti.
brother, I would also like to just share,
Yeah.
just like you took the example of your parents, and Bhavna's sister also spoke about parents. So, in the same context, I just wanted to share my example of my children,
Yeah.
who are now much older, of course. But even now, you do get into these modes of where you feel that, oh, they should be next to you, or, why are they so far away? But one thing that I used to practice earlier also, but now I think I've become very good at it comparatively. I used to imagine myself as a gardener, that
Mhm.
you have, used that plant, like you are the gardener who's nurturing, who's making the child grow up, sending them to school, doing all the activities to make them good human beings, that, and to live a good life. And eventually your role ends when the plant has grown up, because even when the plant is growing, you have to give them that freedom of choice. And once the
Right.
plant is grown up, they have their own journey.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll give you my last week's example. My son is in Madrid, and he
Mhm.
had a friend's wedding to attend.
Mhm.
And I was in Delhi, and he came all the way back, and he was busy with his friends. And my colleagues at work said, "Oh, your son is back, and have you met him?" I said, "No." So they said, "It's been 2 days, you haven't met him?" I said, "Yes, because he's busy with the wedding, and he will meet me after that." And they said, "Don't you feel he should meet you the first thing, since you're his mother?" And I realized that I have actually progressed thanks to Baba. I
Yeah.
really did not feel bad. I did
Yeah.
not, I was quite all right with it. And I
Yeah.
said, it's fine. I mean, he's busy there. Why should I have all these expectations that he has to meet me first, and I am his mother? And,
Yeah.
and I think that ability to let go actually gives that freedom of space in any relationship,
Yeah.
whether it's your child and I think that actually helps you to nurture stronger bonds in a different way. I just thought I'll share this. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. And like, what will have your son come up and meet you? Like, instead of just calling him up and going after him saying, "Arey, 2 दिन हो गए, तू अभी तक आया नहीं मिलने. You should have come. I'm your mother. Don't you think it's your responsibility?" In fact, that distance the child even more. But when that
That's
child has
correct.
that, yeah, when that
Yeah.
child has that acceptance, what you said, let go. Even if I want to take it on to the next level, Harpreet sister, I would say just accept. No, he's here to do what he is here to do. He's here to attend a wedding, say, and he will come. Like we say, कि प्यार मांगने से नहीं मिलता, respect मांगने से नहीं मिलता. You don't get love and respect by asking. That is something that you need to earn. And if you have to ask for it, it has no value. So if it is meant, if it is meant to be that he's going to come and see you and be with you and spend some quality time, he will do that. If not, it is just going to be a filler. It is just going to be a present miss. in the attendance sheet, which again will have no satisfaction or fulfillment. But the
No,
moment you,
Vimish Bhai, I just wanted to also just add one sentence to what
yeah,
you very
yeah,
beautifully just said.
yeah,
Even with friends and, people whom you really love unconditionally, whether it's your parents, your children, your friends, you don't really need to do that drama of saying, I spoke to you 10 times a day, I did
yeah,
this, I did that. In fact, I've seen there are people whom I have not spoken for years, but we have such a strong bond. And when I really needed some help, it is those people who came forward whom we don't even
exactly.
do those day-to-day
Yeah,
hellos and highs,
yeah,
and it's the powerful energy of knowing, like how we say God is always there for you.
yeah,
So there are some powerful souls who are always there for you, so it doesn't
yeah,
matter. So it's a nice subject. The subject of bondage is very deep, actually. Attachment.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And when you see those relations which are there, why? Because there is no agenda. There is no expectation. More than that, there is acceptance that okay, this person is there, and you can freely connect to that soul. In our day-to-day lives, when we keep on looking, oh, this person did not connect, like you said, I called up 10 times, he should or she should have called me up at least once. That relationship anyways doesn't have a value. If you are calling up 10 times, either call up for the 11th time with as much freedom as with you've called up the 10 times, or don't call and wait if you don't want to, and say, and be free from that expectation that it's a barter. Ab 10 बार मैंने किया, now it is your turn to call. And wait for that person. Maybe send that person vibrations if that person really matters to you. Or just keep standing in case there are some people who are not too communicative. But when you speak to them and say, you didn't call, Arey, aisa nahi hai, it's not like that. You could have called. What's the problem? They would say, wouldn't it? I mean, don't you find such people?
True.
Yeah. So if you're doing it, do it freely. If you think that it's hurting your ego, then wean off. But it's like you putting your hands in the dirt and saying that my hands have become dirty. That would be so crazily not serving. Thank you, sister. Thank you for bringing up and sharing your incident with your son.
Thank you.
Om Shanti,
Oh,
brother.
yes.
Continuing with what you said, like when the quality, when we sow the good, when we sow good quality seeds, and we nurture them very well, and it is definitely going to bear good quality fruits, right?
Yeah.
Again, is it expectation, or or should we just think it as it's the law of this thing, law of nature or law of karma or whatever it is? Whatever you sow, so you reap.
Yeah. So what really matters
So
now,
we just
sister?
have to
Yeah.
we just have to sow the seeds and just be quiet, right? We needn't have to wait for the fruits. Again, it becomes expectation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It again becomes an expectation. No? Just put in a seed of cactus and say, okay, come out in 1 month's time. It will not happen. Why? Because the process is that it takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So allow
Yeah.
and you do it. Yeah. Do it with that freedom and see what is meant will show up.
Yes.
Why we get attracted towards children is because of the purity that they have, the innocence that they have. As we grow, we manipulate, and that is why we lose ourselves and we lose people.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's 6:34. We've overshot the time, and let's take a couple of moments of meditation as we complete the session today. Amiben?
Yes, I shall share the music.
Yeah, please. Let's first stand in the space of acceptance and an unconditional love for our own self. Because we can give others what we have. I am a beautiful soul. I am that blessed soul who's got a direct sustenance and blessings from the Supreme Father. The world needs me, and the world needs my acceptance, my understanding, my compassion. I am free from any attachment doing things for my own self. Because I am filled with all that I could have asked for, maybe more. I have the Supreme Power with me, who knows what is meant for me and what is not. All that I do is surrender and flow with that freedom, with that purity, and with that acceptability. Thank you, Father, for making me a part of this beautiful world. Thank you for choosing me so that I could elevate myself, and choosing me to be the instrument to stand and make difference to each and every soul that I connect to. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Divine Family. Thank you. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone. I hope this session was valuable for you. Please share your feedbacks so that we can keep on building on this. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om
Thank
Shanti.
you. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba, for wonderful session. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Very beautiful session. Thank you.
Om Shanti, Vimish bhai. Beautiful session. Thank you.
Om Om Shanti. Thank you, Vimish Bhai, and thank you all of you